I'm number one in Britain, so I deserve the big fights. I know I'll beat him up.
What's going on, people? Welcome back to the South Made podcast. I'm Fadel Seaboot.
And I'm Sam and Love.
And we're back. And guess who's back on the podcast? We got the man himself,
Michael Mckinson. I'm back.
Round of applause for him. Come on.
My guy.
Nice one, boys.
Mike, just to say, obviously, Mike, you started us off with season 1. You were the first guest. We're back with season 2. You're the first guest again.
I asked to be on.
Now, so for those that, just a recap from last season, or the first episode that we did with Mikey, he went and talked about his early sort of years and his journey. So we just fast forward in that, and I guess last time we talked, you had the Chris Congo fight, and then you were defending that title with a Polish fighter. So I guess from then till now, how's everything been?
Things have been amazing. Obviously, after that, I got 2 opportunities to fight in America. I became the first fighter from Hampshire, I think, to go and fight in America. I was proud to be able to do something like that. Not only go out there and fight there, a few months later I went there and headlined there. And I fought for a world title final eliminator against arguably the future of boxing, as they say. So yeah, I've had a real good couple of years, like a great couple of years, and I feel very, very blessed to be in the position and to be able to get the opportunities I have over the last 2 years. So yeah, very proud of what I've done over the last few years, but I'm not satisfied yet.
Yeah, 100%. And you should be so proud of what you've achieved. Of course, I'd say probably the biggest thing to come out of Portsmouth, right? 100%. Yeah. And I just wanted to ask, of course, what was it like to sort of take that loss, and how did that change your perspective on boxing and in life in general, to be honest?
Yeah, so obviously I took my first and only defeat out August the 6th last year to Virgil Ortiz, somebody that was 18-0 with 18 knockouts, and everyone thought I was going to go there, get blown away in 3 rounds. I exceeded everyone's expectations of me, you know. I went out there and I took him further than anybody else.
I was going to say, yeah, you did.
I cut him. I was winning rounds against him. Although I was down on the cards, I was winning rounds against him as well. And it was always competitive. Round 8, we went into round 8, and the plan was to, as the rounds went on, the rounds that he's never been to before, that's when you real test him and, go for it a little bit more as the rounds go on, take him into deep waters. And something happened in round 8, and I didn't know at the time, but my leg was really hurting me, and I couldn't put weight on my leg. I couldn't throw my right arm.
Oh,
and
really?
then I didn't know at the time, but something was really bothering me. It hit me a couple more times, and my leg just gave in. I went down at the end of round 8, got up, carried on the round, but couldn't really do a lot. The bell went, and I went back to the corner, limped back to the corner, and I was like, this must be my hip. Went back to the corner, told my dad, and my dad said, do you want to be pulled out? Like, you've gave a great account of yourself and stuff. And me being the proud guy I am, I said, no way.
Yeah.
Because if you was to ask me a minute before, 2 minutes before, this fight was at least going points. I was never hurt in the fight.
Yeah.
So he let me go out, went out my shield a little bit, hit me again, and that leg just went. That was probably the worst pain I've ever felt in boxing.
Wow.
Got up. You could see on my face as I got up, and then about 20 seconds later, my dad did the right thing and pulled me out. That was tough.
And you need that as well, do you know what I mean? Like, it's so good for you to have someone in your corner like your dad.
Yeah.
Because he knows you know what I mean? You're training with him every day.
Yeah.
And he sees the sparring. He knows what you like inside out. So it's definitely the right decision.
He let me go out on my shield, which was important to me. But it was tough to take because at the time, it was me against the world.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and I really did believe that I could go there and pull it off. I was in such good
And so you
shape.
should.
I was in shape of my life mentally as well. If you look back at how I was fight week, I was really, really strong mentally and physically unbelievable. But, you know, things like this happen, and I had to... It was tough to take. It was tough to take. But there was a lot of positives from it, because after the fight, I didn't get any criticism. You know, I couldn't be proud of a loss. You can't be proud of a loss, but I took so much positives from that trip.
Facts.
You know, like before the fight, when I was in the changing rooms with my team for the biggest fight of my life, like it was crazy. And you get a knock on the door saying a few minutes till the ring walk, and all that was going through my head was proud feelings. Like, I've got my whole city and probably anyone involved in boxing back in the UK awake at 4 a.m. in the morning
Watch it.
to watch me fight. And it was such a proud thing. I was really, like, it was amazing. When my ring walk came on and I was walking to the ring, it was like a cauldron of boos, like Texans and Mexicans booing me. And I loved every second of it. I loved every second of it.
I remember you're soaking it in.
I only had 8 people there to support me in a 12,000 or 10,000 seater place, however many it held. I didn't have a lot of people there, and everyone booed me. But as I got out the ring, limping down the tunnel,
everyone was
everybody was cheering me.
So I remember the commentators were saying so much respect.
I won a lot of love that night, and I also earned a lot of respect from the boxing world, something that I have been missing over the years. I never really get enough credit for what I've done, what I am doing, and I had to earn it the hard way.
Yeah, because you said obviously 8 people watched you that fight, but I remember because the first fight actually got pulled out, right?
Yeah.
But you had a big following because you obviously...
The reason nobody came to Texas, because I fought in LA 6 months before, when I was meant to fight him there. He pulled out 5 days before. But Texas was like 3 times the price to get to. It was ridiculous. So I didn't have a lot of people fly there. But when I fought in LA, March last year, I was meant to fight Ortiz then. Yeah. And he pulled out with rhabdomyosis 5 days before the fight. Wow. This was either the Monday or Tuesday. I had just done my California state medicals and was leaving the clinic out there. Gets a phone call from my manager at the time saying Ortiz has pulled out. All my supporters were on the flight over to watch me.
Yeah, that's nuts.
That week was tough, right?
That's crazy.
And like Golden Boy, who was promoting the show and stuff, they had a mission to keep me on the show, which was unbelievable. I had a lot of supporters fly over to watch me, and I said yes to 7 opponents in the space of 4 days.
I was just about to say, I keep forgetting his name. It's one boxer with the afro. Was it
Blair
Blair Cobbs.
Yeah.
So
I saw his video on Twitter.
He was never Blair Cobbs was never actually offered to me that week. He was trying to get the fight, but the guy that he lost to on that card, Alexis Rocha.
Yeah.
I said yes to that night, the night Ortiz pulled out. I said yes to fighting him that weekend.
That would be a good scrap.
I went to sleep thinking I was fighting him, woke up saying that they didn't want to pull their fight. So that was one guy. There was
because they're both southpaws.
A lot of them were, but that didn't matter. So the opponent that finally got for me was a Mexican. He came to LA and he was like 30 pounds overweight.
Oh, good. Yeah, it's no good.
No, and I was like, this was the night before the weigh-in.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Right, so
taking liberties.
So I gets the call. I goes that I'm making weight. Bear in mind, I'm making weight. This was the night before the weigh-in. It's not what I wanted to hear. So I goes down to the lobby, speaks to the team, and they said there is a guy. This guy here already knew he was fighting me at the beginning of the week. Right, Alex Martin. It's like they kept everything a secret from me. They said, you've got these 2 guys. I said, any of them. This Alex Martin, the night before the weigh-in, he's a southpaw. I've been training for 4 months to fight Ortiz. Oh, God, yeah. This one's a tricky southpaw. I said, can he make 147 tomorrow? They went, yeah, he's on weight. I said, let's do it. I didn't even watch him. I went straight to bed.
And you just turned up.
But then if you watch...
style.
Yeah, and it was tough because I'd not prepared to fight that. I think he might have been the first southpaw I'd fought at 21 fights at the time.
Oh, right, yeah.
Right, so but I still, like, in my head, I was fighting in LA. I was making my US debut.
Yeah.
Nothing was stopping me, no matter who it was. And it was a special feeling. Like, after that week, like, the fight itself wasn't the most exciting fight, and I kind of knew that because he was a southpaw, I was a southpaw. He was smart but very negative. He was good but very
so
negative.
I remember watching the fight. He was very negative, and it was difficult for you to sort of, you know, make a show of the fight because of his style, and that does happen. Do you know what I mean? And it can be difficult for yourself to, of course.
But the week I had was a very tough week, and to even like. How it looked, it didn't really matter to me at the time. Getting it done, and after that trip, when I got on the flight back home, I was like, "Thank God that week's over," you know. But it was obviously great to be able to be the first person to fight in America from my area.
Crazy,
you know. So it's unbelievable.
Wow, you've done yourself and everyone in Portsmouth and the whole UK proud, man.
Yeah,
that's such a crazy achievement. But in terms of your like personal life right now, what's going on? I see on Instagram that you all love that. So what's going on, man?
I am. I am.
I like
the wife by your side, man. Yeah,
got shy.
I have a little bit. I have a little. Always with her at the moment. Always with her at the minute.
Would you say that's helping training? In terms, sometimes it can.
A good
calm
girl
you down.
helps. A good girl helps. A bad girl don't.
A bad girl, A bad girl doesn't help as much.
Sounds like it's talking from experience.
In my sport as well, you know. You need a good girl to support you.
100%, and that's another thing that people don't see is obviously a relationship where someone can support your dreams. Do you know what I mean? Understand, because you're going from camp to camp to camp. There's times where you're not seeing each other and stuff like that. They don't understand how time-consuming it is. You know, so
it's hard to be a boxer. Yeah, it's probably even harder to go out with a boxer.
Oh yeah.
You know? So no, she's a good girl.
Yeah, very understandable. Yeah, but
for sure, man.
What's
didn't know. Bring out the personal.
No, I just wanted to know. Do you know what I mean? I wanted to know what's going on in the.
Things are good.
Yeah.
Things are good in the camp. So then, obviously, fast forward from America, Ortiz fight, then to now. You obviously have had a lot of fights.
Yeah. So for me, I've fought 3 times since Ortiz, and financially, 2022 was life-changing for me, yeah? It was my best year of my life ever. But I didn't want to end my best year with a loss. I could have been soaking it up in the sun somewhere, but I was really adamant to get back in the gym and end the year back on top, like with a win. So I got back into the gym and I fought in Bournemouth in December. Now, it was only a 6-rounder, and they offered me a journeyman to fight. And people that don't know who journeymen are, they have more losses than wins. They take fights last minute, things like that. And I'm too. I feel I'm too good, and I was coming off the loss to Ortiz to fight a journeyman. So for the same money, it wasn't good money or anything like that. It's like a quick comeback fight. I took on a real tough South American. This was me, my mindset. It was everyone else was saying, take the easy fight. I said, no way. So I took a guy, I think he had 19 wins, 4 losses with 14 KOs. Dangerous fight, and he came in 5 pounds overweight. But I took it, got the win, and ended a real good year with a win. Back to winning ways as well. And I fought 2 times since. I fought out in Rome in March.
Exactly.
Rewind a little bit. Going into this year, I had a point to prove a little bit, because everyone knows I'd probably beat anyone in Britain. I'd beat at my weight, cause anyone in the world problems. But it's always that title. McKinson's a little bit boring because I don't knock anyone out, or I cruise points wins because I'm smarter than them, and it's easy that way. I've just been beating them, and I've got to be real. The casuals don't like to see that. The boxing purists appreciate
love
that,
to see it,
but casuals don't. And
no, they just want to see a knockout, don't they?
Knockout scraps.
Yeah, so
everyone just wants to see a tear up sometimes.
So I've kind of in my mindset, I want to be more exciting. I want to start. I've worked really hard over the last year, more so this year, with my strength team to punch harder, to be a little bit more exciting, to take more risks. This year I've fought twice and stopped them both. So,
That ain't bad.
so Michael Mckinson Volume 2.
That's it.
Hey, love that.
Mckinson 2.0.
2.0.
What's going
That's
on,
it.
man?
Come back, man. But no, yeah, that's good, man. I even saw that the last fight was nice. A couple people thought you were abroad, sunny, and obviously close to home as well.
I fought over the last couple of years. I fought at some great setups, some great locations. Gibraltar, the Matchroom back garden, Eddie's back garden.
Oh, yeah.
That was great.
Crazy.
Los Angeles, Texas, Rome. This is over the last 2 years. But the other week when I fought in Bournemouth, the whole setup, fight week, the press conference, the public workout, the weigh-in was all on Bournemouth Pier in the blazing heat.
Yeah,
it was
lovely.
like I was on holiday, and the buzz around fight week beats every fight week I've ever had.
Wow.
It was 15 minutes down the road.
That's what I'm saying. It's close to home. It's on the south coast.
It was
Eddie, if you're listening, get him to Fratton Park. Get him to Fratton Park. He
sure.
deserves it.
But yeah, it was special last week to be able to, Sky Sports, fight on TV, close to home, and get a knockout in a football stadium. Okay, it wasn't Fratton Park, which that is the ultimate goal.
Sure.
But I thought in the vitality.
Yeah. Because you had your trunk. Sorry, can I pull them while
go
you
on.
speak?
Yeah,
It was bucket list for me to fight in a football stadium. I've done it. Like I said, I'm always ticking things off the bucket list.
Talk us through these.
So
Talk us through these.
So I always I always said I'd never have red on my boxing kit because obviously I'm a Pompey boy.
That's class, though.
But I made an exception. I fought in Bournemouth. I wore Bournemouth colours. But my kit guy, shout out Box Inc.
The details though, isn't it?
they put blue the Pompey crest on the inside.
Love that.
Yeah, so that was the kit. My last fight, I always look good. My kits are always good.
You gotta look good, feel good.
Even my
box
boots.
well.
I didn't bring my boots with me today, but shout out Step Correct. They always sort me out nice boots to match my kit as well.
Love to see it. But who's next then? Who's next for you?
I've just had 3 back-to-back camps. I fought in December, had 10 days out, straight back in camp for March, had less than a week out, straight back in camp from May 29th, and I fought 3 times in the last 14 months. No, 5 times in the last 14 months. Like, that's really active, and
Very active.
I deserve a big fight, so...
Connor Benn. Connor Benn.
I would love that. I would love the Connor Benn fight. I think everybody would like to chase that fight. I'm number 1. He's not ranked at the moment, but I'm number 1 in Britain, so I deserve the big fights.
How do you feel? Sorry.
Oh, yeah, no.
How do you feel that pans out, the fight? What do you think of Bennett? Like, just in general?
He's improved. He's there's a lot of speculation on him at the moment and stuff like that. He has improved. He's gone from struggling with mediocre opposition to knocking out former world champions, and then everything else that's happened in recent times with him. There's a lot of questions on him at the moment. But regardless of all that, if he's innocent, if he's not, if he's guilty or not guilty, like positive or not, I'll beat him easy.
Yeah.
My style is all wrong for him. I'll take him to school 100%, and boxing knows that.
Yeah.
Like casuals don't, because Connor Benn's great for TV. He's a great personality and he looks great. But the boxing people know what would happen.
Yeah. No, I love that, because I was going to say it. Why is it so hard for you to get the fight that you want? Because it feels like, even the commentator said it before your last fight.
Yeah.
A lot of people dodge you. And why is that?
Because they know what would happen. And I'm not like, don't forget, my rise, I came from boxing on small shows for no money. Like, I didn't turn professional and was on the TV straight away. It took me 19 fights, 18 fights or something like that to get on the TV. So, like, I wasn't ever a big name. I'm a great fighter, but never a big name, and so they don't want to fight somebody that's not a big name with a big possibility of losing against them. You know,
It's a risk, isn't it?
a risk, because I came from nothing in professional boxing.
Yeah.
I didn't earn any money for my first 10 pro fights.
I remember you saying on the first podcast that we had you.
And
yeah.
even up to the Chris Congo fight, the money weren't good at all. You know, people think, oh, a professional boxer.
Yeah.
At the beginning was terrible.
I was gonna say.
It was terrible. Like, I remember 2017, I won my first two titles, the WBC Youth and the International Silver, in 2017, whilst having a baby daughter at home, having to go to work 9 to 5 every day, like waking up, training before work, going to work all day, training after work, then getting home, my daughter would be asleep. I missed quite a lot, although I lived with her at the time. I missed loads in her early years because I was training for these fights. And I remember going into work after, it was the end of November, after I won my second title that year, to an email for a disciplinary hearing, because fight week, when I was making weight, I wasn't really doing a lot.
Yeah.
And
you obviously have to have days off.
yeah, like people that, like being a championship level fighter, making weight 2-3 days before a fight, you're still at work. The next day I handed in my notice with no financial backing and less than a 1-year-old at home.
But I'll tell you what, it's
That
the risk reward, you know. It's
Yeah,
to do something like that and now come out the other end shining like
Sure.
the way you are is just
100%.
crazy.
Like, well, you think about it, obviously at the time you're thinking, what the hell is the end
Yeah.
of the tunnel going to look like? And then fast forward,
Yeah.
achieve so much, and now you're in the position that you are. It's crazy.
Yeah, like also another thing, like when I left school and all of my mates were learning trades and all stuff like this and getting jobs and good jobs, and you know, I had like a few jobs and stuff, but predominantly I was boxing. Like, so I wasn't really learning trades or on good money or things like that. So I was always the poor one out of my friends, you know, and you know, took all these gambles, and then bit by bit, these gambles have paid off. The last couple of years have been amazing, you know. So it's been good. But the biggest gamble was quitting work with a daughter to support and stuff, and it was hard at the beginning. I had a few sponsors come and go, but nothing really to live off. So yeah, a few years down the line,
That's it.
You backed yourself
Yeah.
all the
Yeah,
way. That's
always.
And that's the thing, though. A lot of people, like you said, a lot of casuals, they don't realise how difficult boxing is, realistically, especially for a pro
Yeah.
boxer.
Yeah.
Never mind an amateur, you know what I mean? Like a pro boxer's lifestyle is, from the outside looking in, it might seem like glitz and glam, like you said, but it's really not. You know what I mean? Like you're going from, like you said, fighting on these town shows. You know what I mean? And then you've got to sort of create that name for yourself and that personnel for yourself as well. And you've really got to graft for like consistently over years
For nothing.
for before you get something. And even when you do get something, it's not guaranteed that you're gonna go on and do that consistently.
I'll tell you something, So at the beginning of like being a professional boxer, especially if you're on the small shows, how it works is you've got to sell tickets to be able to pay for an opponent and earn money yourself and stuff like that. I turned pro 1920. I weren't popular, you know. Like, I couldn't sell tickets. I used to have to get a few little sponsors to pay the rest, or out of my own pocket to cover and earn nothing out of it. That's why I didn't earn anything for my first 10. And I remember I sold like 20-something tickets to box in Prism in Portsmouth one time, and I had to cover the rest with a little bit of sponsor money out of my own pockets to be able to fight. 20-something tickets. Bear in mind, over the last year, I had 60-odd in LA watching me. I had 50-odd in Rome watching me. I just sold nearly 400 tickets to watch me the other day in Bournemouth, you know, so it's crazy how times change.
Turnaround, mate.
Yeah,
Tables turn, man.
it's hard. It is hard. People see the social media, the TV, the belts, and stuff like that, but they don't see that journey.
Yeah.
And
And your journey started so early as well. You got to think about yourself in the amateur days, because obviously I don't know a lot about your amateur story. So obviously I wanted to ask you about what that sort of looked like as well.
Well, I was always good. Like if you read up against me, I always go, I won nothing as an amateur. I won no national titles as an amateur.
Yeah.
But that isn't a like I was still always good. Obviously, I was born into a boxing family. My dad trained me from very young. I always lived the life, obviously, with my dad. I wasn't the one going out with my friends and having a normal childhood. So I was always good. I just never had that kind of luck. I won like the Southern Counties almost every year and stuff like that. And obviously, you guys remember me when I was young. I was always a boxer, and do you know what I mean?
Known for boxing. You and your family were known for boxing.
Yeah, sure. So I had 43 amateurs and 7 unlicensed.
You was on the unlicensed scene as well,
for less than a year. 7-0. We don't talk about that. No, but I had 50 fights before turning pro. I lost 14, won 36.
Mate, that's a very good amateur record.
Yeah. But I would always lose on a split decision.
Yeah.
A split decision to the guys in the England vest, or the guys that were tipped to win it or did win it.
Yeah.
So I boxed some real good names as an amateur, and every single one was a lost on point split decision, something like that. So I was always good. I just never had that luck. Over 3 rounds, when it's a fight
it's different, isn't it?
When it's a fight of high quality, and it's hard to judge, they'll always give it to the opposite guy to me. Yeah. You know, so there was a lot of people. Well, I lost 14 times, but to 13 people. So there's 13 people out there that beat me.
Yeah.
That can say, and Ortiz.
Yeah.
that
can say they beat Mikey Mckinson. But
I'm intrigued. Who were some of the boys
so
that you fought? Yeah.
My last amateur fight was Jordan Reynolds.
Oh, yeah. Very good boxer.
He's quite a name in boxing. He's a prospect turned pro now.
Is he on the come up, isn't he now?
Yeah. Jordan Gill. He's another guy who's...
mixed race guy.
Yeah. I boxed him when I was 16, 17. Alfie Price, he was a good guy that I thought he's a pro now. There was all of like the top lads my age I fought at that sort of time. But turning pro, all of the lads that were like real good amateurs... Ryan Martin, right? Let's talk about Ryan Martin. I won my first title off of Ryan Martin back in April the 8th, 2017. We were both the same age as amateurs, but he was a bit bigger than me, so we never crossed, like had to fight each other. Yeah. But he was the superstar, right? He boxed for England all the time. He was the type of guy at 14 years old that we'd stay and watch because he would knock people out.
Oh, right. Over 3 rounds.
Imagine being 14 years old, knocking people out. He was a superstar as a junior, as an amateur. So we kind of remembered each other because we fought in like the junior ABAs at the same CYPs and stuff, schoolboys. And but I would always like remember him more than he'd remember me because I was just the average guy. He was a superstar. And when I accepted to fight him, I was really confident I'd beat him, but he was very smug because we remember each other from the amateurs, but he thought, Michael Mckinson, I'll deal with him. I'm a superstar. He was unbeaten at the time. Yeah. And that was the first time I got paid. It weren't a lot, but as a pro, I was 10-0. But we went to Swindon, where he's from. I got booed coming to the ring, but I had 90-odd up there to support me. And I beat him mentally before the fight. In the build-up, I beat him. And even in the fight, I was talking to him. I was smiling and poking my tongue out and stuff like that. Mentally, I beat him. But he was like the top lad my age as an amateur from 11 to 17. He was a superstar, and I beat him. Chris Congo boxed for England and on the GB team, and was a lot better than me as an amateur. He's been in my back pocket for the last 2 years. I beat him mentally as well. You know,
Would you give him a rematch?
it'd be easier the second time. It'd be easier. Unless I got paid more than I did the first time.
Money talks.
Yeah, but so he was a top amateur. He was a bit older than me, but top amateur. I beat him in the pros. Sam McNess was England on the England team. I boxed him in his home. He was from East London. Boxed him at York Hall in East London. Dropped him. He was talking a lot before the fight. I beat him easy, 2-0 every round. So like all these top amateurs, I've beat quite easy as a pro. Like I didn't get my luck as an amateur, but in the pro game over 10 rounds and more physical and things like that, it suits me a lot better.
100%.
Yeah. No, I hear that. And just a question that I had, because obviously I've got a charity boxing coming up.
Yeah.
Sam promoting himself. Wow. There's a Sam and Love show.
July the 22nd.
It's a Sam and Love show.
Question that I had.
Should we interview Sam?
He'll be in this chair soon.
And after that charity boxing.
We've all had Sam.
The question I had, because I'm someone that with not too much spite, but how do you build up like the aggression before someone? Because I always see boxers get angry before fights, and then after they're all like gentlemen and obviously shaking each other's hand. So is it actual genuine anger, or do you have to?
Everyone's different. Like everyone boxes in different ways and uses their strength in different ways. Like until recently, I wasn't like that. You know, I was a very chilled, slick fighter that don't really get angry, don't run on testosterone. You know, I'm a like laid back guy. So you just use it as your strengths. Don't go out there trying to like get angry and try and knock him out, because it won't work for you.
No, definitely not.
I'm going to knock him out.
And you are really nice to be a boxer, to be fair. Really nice. But, no, I'm sure you'll do that. I'll be there too.
Yeah.
July 22nd.
July 22nd.
He's got to win, isn't he, now?
No pressure.
No pressure at all. Nah,
yeah.
we're backing him. We're backing him.
No, for sure. No, that's it. But thanks, Mike. It's been a pleasure, obviously, speaking to you. End of season, on our season 1 podcast, you did ask for a rewind of the quickfire, so we've got.
Oh my god! You should have warned me about this. So we did it.
But
the last time I did it, I remember watching it back and thinking, these answers, what am I? Oh, I would never say anything like this. And I can't even remember any of the questions, mate. So
yeah, we've only got a few
just
this
need
one.
to relax.
We've got a few this
Think
ones.
about
Unless, Fadel wants to start off, so you can we'll just rattle off.
Come in, Mikey. What's going on?
Come on.
Right. Spence or Crawford?
I will go. As we said this before, Terence Crawford beats Errol Spence.
And how?
I disagree.
I just think he's not very big for 147 at all. I've seen Crawford. I've been next to him. I've spoke to him. He's not big, but he keeps himself healthy, where Spence doesn't. Spence has been in a few car crashes and he's always looking overweight, where Crawford's never. I've seen it the first few weeks. Crawford was in shape weeks ago. Spence still ain't in shape. I just think the way you live your life is important, especially at that level. I just think if I had my last pound, I'm betting Crawford, and I'm betting him on points. I know you think different.
I think stoppage.
I know you think different,
Yeah.
and he could stop him.
Yeah.
I wouldn't bet against a stoppage at all,
Yeah.
but I would definitely back Crawford. I've been sat on the fence like for ages on it until recently, and as it's got closer.
Exactly.
I just think the way you live your life outside of everything is very important.
100%.
And he obviously seems to live his life.
Yeah. I think also, I just feel like Crawford always manages to figure his opponent out and always manages to get the stoppage. Like, his IQ is quite underrated, I think. So, yeah, I think we agree on that. Obviously, Sam with a low boxing IQ, he does it.
Spencer, we're watching.
Yeah, but to be fair, it is it's a pick 'em fight.
Yeah, no,
it's
it is 50-50.
Yeah,
like I said to Sam, like, it is a 50-50
Oh,
fight.
we remember this, Spence. I'm telling you.
Okay, I'll expect a message of apology the next morning.
McKinson or Connor Benn? I know you've already pretty much answered the question. But
McKinson
and how
uses his head as target practice.
Oh, okay.
And plays into his hands even more as the rounds go on, and Ben get even even more frustrated, even more angry, and I wouldn't bet against a stoppage. Mckinson 2.0. We're talking about it.
There you go. Connor Benn, you listening?
about
Yeah?
this. Nah, I
You
love
listening?
And I've mentioned Connor Benn's name since 2017. I've called him out many a times to a point where I didn't really call him out because I knew it wouldn't ever happen. But you know that fight, the phone's always on there, and I know I'll beat him up.
Eddie, are you listening, Eddie? Yeah.
Tell them to listen. On to the next one.
To the next one, Ali or Tyson?
I think they say Ali was the greatest. He wasn't really the greatest. I think he did a lot outside of boxing that made him greater.
Who was the greatest?
Do you think?
Who? No. Who was?
Who?
Yeah.
That's as I've got older and I've started studying old fighters that people don't really, like who was it, Harry Greb, people like that who fought I think he fought 45 times in 1 year. People like that, but but this was back in the day. But who was the greatest for me? Sugar Ray Leonard.
Sugar Ray Leonard, yeah.
100%.
Sugar
Ray. I see that.
Sugar Ray and Love,
I'll say
alright?
that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, Sugar Ray, isn't it?
yeah, but Ali and Tyson, Ali was greater for what he did outside of boxing and stood up for his beliefs and things like that. His story. I don't think he was the greatest boxer of all time. Tyson, in his early years, Tyson was a millionaire too young with no guidance. I would say I'd pick Tyson over Ali. Ooh. How about you, boys?
I think it's a tough one, bro.
I feel like you'd pick Tyson.
I'll probably say.
I don't know. It
The
depends
way he
what Tyson
fights is vicious. But
Tyson,
as a guy,
Tyson in his prime, like he's
probably-
I think
I'll say
it's hard to
Tyson.
argue against that.
I'll
But
say
Ali is just, I don't know, man. Sometimes I rewatch Ali fights and I think, wow, the guy was phenomenal. So again, it's probably a 50-50
He's
one.
just more of a cover boy. I feel like.
No.
No. I mean, like
That's
he's got
that.
the right. No, not to disrespect.
No,
but
yeah,
obviously,
I know what you're
Like,
saying.
he's got the right image. He talks good.
I don't know though.
He looks good. Like
I
you
don't
know.
know. I
That's
disagree
why-
with that. I think
That's why he's overall he's the greatest.
I think Tyson, obviously, he's nearer to our time. We didn't really live through like Tyson's era, but he was closer to our time. But I don't know. I think it's close. 50-50. I'm probably leaning towards Ali.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's another pick 'em.
Yeah, it's one of them, innit? Yeah. And last one. Last but not least.
The most important one.
The most important one. You got to answer this right, man.
Think about it. July 22nd.
You got to deep this one, Mikey. Fadel versus Sam.
Oh.
Sugar Ray.
So
We need a challenge for this.
How many fights deep are you now?
Oh, I've had 10 now.
10.
Yeah.
You train very hard.
1-0.
Train very hard. You train with him. I've seen you've been out on the runs with him. Like his times are great. I wouldn't be able to match his times, but I'm gonna sit on the fence on that one. They're both my friends. They're both good people. They're both good people. I see Sam having a real good performance July 22nd.
Let's be
Getting
honest.
out the ring and calling Fadel out.
This is what would happen. I would walk him like a dog.
He's next.
I would walk him like a dog. I'd butcher him.
You've
But-
had 10.
Yeah, I've had 10.
You've been busy. That's good.
Oh, no, this time last year I had none. So
Yeah, that's great.
yeah, 10.
Important,
To
that.
be fair, I was going to use this time to sort of ask you, obviously when your hand heals up, just to possibly do some rounds.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah?
Obviously, my last fight, I haven't punched since the fight. There was no breaks, luckily, but there was a bit of swelling, so I'm just going to wait for that to heal up.
Yeah.
We can get some rounds, mate.
Mate, I would love.
What weight you doing?
At the moment, I'm cutting down to 70, so that's like
So
middleweight.
Yeah, okay, so
I'm walking around at 74, 75 kg.
I'm probably walking around at 75, 76.
Oh, well, it's perfect.
I cut the 67, 66 and a half, 67. So, mate, no problem.
Mate, honestly.
No problem.
Hey? Mate, honestly.
Special episode.
Yeah, man,
We got that.
you just have
I'll
to
do
record
it.
him. He's just beating me up.
I'll do a couple of rounds with both of you.
Hey, I mean, it would be pointless if Sam.
I'll be in your corner. Don't worry about that.
No. But I would honestly, I'd love. That's a great opportunity, of course. Like amateur myself, so yeah, that would be great. Great opportunity.
Should have asked me recently. We were neighbours.
Oh, no,
Got a couple of.
I've
I've just moved
the
out.
lounge.
Yeah. For those that don't know, Mikey legit lives next door to us, but he's he's moved out now, but he was living next door to us.
But,
Shout out my personal life again.
Yeah, I'm just putting it on blast.
Might as well say the door number or something. Now, Mike, last question before we wrap up. Who would you want to see next on the podcast, or is there anyone that you think would be good to talk to?
What do you mean? Any from Portsmouth?
Anyone that you would like to
in
see
the
on the
boxing world,
podcast.
anyone promoting?
What dream person on a podcast?
Yeah.
Conor McGregor.
Conor McGregor.
Let's get mate.
Yeah,
It's not impossible.
watching? Yeah.
It's not
One
impossible.
day. One day.
We'll get
Set yourself goals, boys.
the law of attraction. We're gonna get him on.
Manifest.
Sure.
Manifest. That'd be great.
But Mike, as always, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for coming back on season 2. We're back with a bang. Guess it's a wrap.
And congratulations as well on your TKO win as well. Yeah,
Appreciate it.
we'll
Let's
sign
say
off with that one.
2 in a row, boys.
That's it,
2 in a row.
The ratio's crazy. We've been South Made. Peace out.
You know what it is. Mike, my guy.
My son.